Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome to another reset update for the week of April the 15th. Getting into it, there actually is, I'd say, a lot of news. Personally, I wouldn't say good news. It's just kind of news. I mean, I'm not really on the Destiny boat right now. Like, I'm still doing my due diligence and, of course, keeping up with some of the things relating to Destiny, even if I'm not personally riding the Destiny train right now. So, getting off the bat, we have, of course, the Edge of Fate reveal, where we have on May 6, 9 a.m. Pacific, we do have the reveal of what codename Apollos is actually going to be. We still don't know anything else, just officially the codename has been dropped for something to indicate that the 9 is finally going to be something more than just casual story and might actually be main story. Aside from that though, a few of the pop-ups right now, we have double Infamy ranks with good old Drifter, so right now is a good time to delve into Gambit for specifically ranks, not much so for rewards. As well, there is a pop-up that there is another of the flashbacks going on right now into Season of the Chosen. In case there's anything specific you're looking for, I'll go ahead and cover what is included in the Eververse section, but it's time to get into the start of this, which is the Nightfall, which, just to skip right into it, is the Psyops Battleground Cosmodrome. This is one of those weekly ones that I would say is not worth going for if you're purely looking to farm, unless you are literally machine gods. In perspective, it is all Hive Lightborn, which means there's going to be Hive Guardians in your way in a Grandmaster, which, before getting into the final fight, there is a large portion of Fallen at the start, but at the same time, you're going to be facing not only Briggs, but then you will be fighting many Lucent Hive, as well as Lucent Hive, Unstoppable Ogres, and other things in very small, cramped quarters with not a lot of great cover. So this is one of those ones that is definitely a case of get it done for the sake of getting the one complete, but if you're looking to farm, I maybe would suggest a different week exclusively. However, in the end, like I mentioned with the Psyops Battlegrounds, the ending zone is a open landscape of not only Lightborn Hive main bosses, but also Savathûn projections, which exclusively with this one as well, even with a room you can hide inside, you won't be safe because some of those stray lightning bolts that Savathûn can send out can even hit through the ceiling, even though they don't hit inside. So, with that, the weapon this week to farm out is the Shadow Price, which, as I've said before, it is a solid auto rifle. I do not know if it is anything worth grinding the god roll because it will change up the sandbox or replace your best auto rifle. In the Crucible, it might be something different as the vertical frames and the extensive stat loadouts are typically a good one for, you know, getting a good auto rifle. But however, again, I haven't kept up to date, but I remember liking the old version of Shadow Price more than this new one since it is missing a lot of the more exclusive arc ones, and being an arc auto rifle, it's kind of suffering in the idea of other arc weaponry right now. But now we move into the Crucible. In a usual week of Crucible, we do have trials on the weekend time, per the usual. I know I said that a little bit weird, but trials this weekend, essentially. And getting into the variety of modes right now, there actually is a large variety for choices. And the labs, we right now have Hardware Supremacy, which, if I still recall, is basically tweaked sandboxes, so things are a little bit shaken up in terms of metas. For 3v3, there is usual competitive, but then there is also a unique mode of Collision, specifically a slow capture variant. Not sure exactly what that means in terms of changing the gameplay, because I've never played Collision, but we'll just have to wait and see what that means for Crucible. Then for 6v6, we have the basic of Control, the exclusive time of Relic in case you want to bash people with the Vault of Glass shield or other things, as well as the usual Rumble free-for-all on the list. Now time to get into our weekly featured modes. There is a healthy mix of options when it comes to farming out some exclusive and handy gear. However, I will be blunt in terms of the exotic mission. This is one that I would exclusively run in terms of recovering red borders, as personally I have used the Dead Messenger in its rebranded state, which sure, there may be some people that will make it a machine god, like I mentioned before, but it's just really a grenade launcher that is a short-range wave-frame shotgun. It sounds nifty, but in practice, it's just kind of shortchanged compared to the other God Roll legendary wave frame grenade launchers. In comparison though, the weapons from Season of the Risen that come out that was essentially some Cabal-ish weaponry archetypes I would certainly say are worth getting into if you wish to get the red borders, as these were some of the first that existed. But aside from that, that is all I would recommend in terms of the exotic mission. However, for our raids, we do have the Root of Nightmares and the Deepstone Crypt, which both of these have options for red border farms in case you're looking for a new set of crafted gear. However, the main difference between the two is that Root of Nightmares has access to a master mode, which of course means that there is not only focused armor from it, which includes this time strength focused armor, but there is also adept weapons that can drop from it, unlike in the Deepstone Crypt, which is a little bit behind in terms of currency, so there is no master mode, there is no armor focus otherwise, but that is pretty much the main difference between the two. The Deepstone Crypt still has an exotic that's random drop, same for Root of Nightmares, so there definitely is options back and forth when it comes to hunting something in specific. Root of Nightmares may just have a little bit more to hunt for per se. And the same could be definitely said about Ghosts of the Deep and Pit of Heresy for our weekly featured dungeons. The Pit of Heresy, it doesn't have really many exclusive drops, its armor is not artifice available, and its exotic drop is quest related. So in terms of running Pit of Heresy, unless you're really into some of the old moon armor, or really like some of the exclusive weapons from the dungeon, which I don't even think are that exclusive officially, yeah, there isn't much to do except for the pinnacle drop. Ghosts of the Deep, however, other story, because it does have a master mode, artifice armor to earn, its exotic is a random drop, not to mention the catalyst that you get from its master mode. So like I said, there's many more things in the current day that you can get from Ghosts that are super exclusive. However, it is Ghosts, so it is the underwalking water simulator with a witch that has more health than the biggest taken ogre you have ever seen. But then we have into our raid options for challenge modes and focuses. Like I mentioned, though, with Salvation's Edge, we do have recovery focused armor for its master mode, but its challenge mode as well is the balanced diet challenge. Still don't know what that means though. Crota's End is still bugged and not featuring a challenge mode unless it is featured. Root of Nightmares is currently, like I mentioned, the featured raid, which means all challenges are active and can be infinitely farmed out. The King's Fall raid is Hands Off challenge. Vowed Disciple is Swift Destruction challenge, aka First Encounter challenge. Vault of Glass is Wait For It challenge, which is the, I believe, off memory Templar challenge. Deepstone Crypt also featured raid, so it is infinitely farmed all available challenges. Garden of Salvation is the Leftovers challenge, and the Last Wish is the Strength of Memory. And with that, we have a seasonal challenge to get into. For week 11 of some seasonal challenges in terms of the season, we are missing a, Act 3 at week 3 because I guess Act 2 was the end officially. There was no Act 3 that was condensed officially. So for the starting, we have Ability Slayer for defeating combatants with abilities in the Court of Blades. Earn bonus progress for purchasing boons during the activity. No specifics though, and that is another Curio of the 9. And then there is unlocking artifact mods. Basically unlock every single perk you can earn from your artifact. Then it will complete. Then there is Gotta Win Them All for completing activities in Vanguard, Gambit, or Crucible playlists. Bonus progress is granted for completing Vanguard playlist activities at advanced difficulty or higher, or for winning Gambit or Crucible matches. And lastly, Kinetic Forces for getting final blows with kinetic weapons. Bonus progress for defeating Guardians. Just go put on Sweet Business and Acting War Rig. This will finish up right quick. Now into cosmetics. Like mentioned at the start, there is the flashback to Season of the Chosen available for silver. So for some of the things available, if you like to get the armor set from the battle pass and each respective characters, which is very much themed like this, they don't look entirely too different. So if this is not your style, I would recommend saving your money elsewhere. But aside from that, if you wish to get anything else, there is the Shield Slam finisher, the Blade Breaker emote, and the ornament for Tiku's divination, the Hasta Solari, which I believe is not available anywhere outside of the Battle Pass. There may be more complex things nowadays, but if for some reason this really trips your trigger when it comes to Tiku's divination, this is the only time you'll be able to get it currently. And with that, let's get into the Bright Dust store in a whole. Starting off the top, we have from Forsaken the Safety First shader, which you can apply is very orange from its visuals. Aside from the Orange Sickle, the shader, we have the Ancient Republic, which is a little bit of a weird one because there's a bit of purple, there's a bit of silver, there's a bit of red, there's a bit of magenta. It's a mix of reds, officially. It doesn't exactly fit this armor setup with hazardous propulsion, but otherwise, with the Taken King, a little bit of Riven armor, that's pretty solid. Next is the Catch Flight entrance, which is self-explanatory. It is, spawning in a little catch. And we have the Glacier Invincible, which is a stasis ship to go with the stasis armor set that just came out this current season. It's pretty cool looking at a base, but just to give it to the ornament test, it doesn't exactly color well. The stasis or the blinking lights do not change color, so keep that in mind before buying that model. Next is the Sweetheart Dance, which is from Season of the Echo, which I guess is supposed to be something super kawaii, and of course another reference that I will not get because I don't get references in dances. Next, into the flares, we have Butterbark, which is another one of those shaders that I challenge anyone to actually make look good. There is some scenarios it does work, but giving your Guardian yellow and a weird wood grain look doesn't exactly work in terms of armor. Mayhaps weaponry, but not armor. Jacarina, which is a similar state of clean for armor, we have a white and black with dark blues. It doesn't exactly match with the Taken King set. The Taken King set alone might look mighty icy in its respective. Very clean looking shader. Next is the Reef Regalia from Season of the Wish, which is essentially just old-fashioned Reef dark blue and purple. There it goes, which is, like I said, Reef throwback to the classic days of the Reef, in case you played Destiny during that time. Then there is the Raven Silk from Season of the Plunder, which is, it goes with the armor from that season to be sure. It's hard to describe what exactly it looks like. It's just kind of dirty earth tone. Then for some of our transmats, we have the Dominus Gaul effects, which is reference to the early days of Red War we no longer have. The Past Unearthed, which is just kind of infinite forest door spawn in, Vexy. Then we also have the Guiding Light, which is to say a very basic transmat, suddenly made purple. Then we have, for the main ticket items, we have the Red Carpet, which it brings up some of the things I despise most about Hollywood. Then there is the Penguin Dance emote from this season as well, which once again is another dance that if it is a reference, I would not know. And if it's mocking penguins, how dare they can't fly and it's not their fault. Then we have the Tag Shell, which is to say a graffiti shell to look sort of splicery outside of a splicer season, but otherwise graffiti. It looks real cyberpunk. Then the Mural 04, which is the ship to go with that last Go shell, literally in the same exact set and same exact look. Then we have the Ominous Saturn, all the way back from Season of the Plunder, which is to say a Telesto Sparrow, which, again, if it's struggling to load, I'll already have put up a picture by now, but in case you don't see it. Then, lastly, for another bow, we have the Oathsworn ornament for the Wish Ender, which once it loads, if it ever does, is essentially a very moon-inspired ornament for the Wish Ender bow. Personally, I don't think it goes above base Wish Ender. I do think it is incredibly clean. I believe the Whaler's Whim gives it a cooler looking bow, or I should say arrow shaft, or arrowhead. That is the word I'm looking for. This doesn't exactly look lethal. Like, it might poke, but it doesn't look like it would tear like a usual arrow from a broadhead shot would. But that is, of course, my real-life knowledge getting in the way of my sci-fi knowledge. Then we also have the Daily Bread projection for people that wish to be a loaf. With that, that is the end of everything new with this reset update. Like I mentioned before, I'm just kind of off the Destiny train. The hype should be there because we're getting a reveal in a month, Marathon, but unfortunately, I am of the opinion where I think Marathon being an extraction shooter means that Destiny lost a limb in terms of development to develop a game that probably won't have a leg up on anything besides its art style, and that art style also kind of makes my eyes hurt and my stomach want to vomit because literally I have dubbed this style color vomit. Aside from that, that is all I have for you today on this reset update. My name is TheMadScorpyon, and I thank you for watching.